I realize there's a lot of creatives in the YouTube space right now, and that number is only growing. But one thing I failed to realize is that a lot of you just started. You just got your first mirrorless camera, or you're using your phone and you're thinking to yourself, how do I make this image look decent enough to post on social media? Well, if that's you, this video is for you. Today we're talking about how to light without using any fancy video lights. I'm pointing here because I mean, you see the Godots, and it wasn't intentional, it's just kind of where they live right now, and it just kind of worked out. Anyway, let's get into it.
My life's all, theatric, nothing but net like Kilpatrick. 10 years later, we still at it. Could've gave up, didn't happen. Step to the mic in the sweater weather. I remember days, couldn't keep it together.
Alright, so we're gonna start this video off very, you can see it looks terrible. The goal of today is to take your image from this to this in just a few simple steps. So let's begin. Hey guys, my name is Bobby Janik, and today we are talking about filmmaking with little to no experience and how you can practice doing so on your own at home. When you start out in this field, it can be daunting because you're broke. You realize that photography and filmmaking is or can be a great career that can bring a lot of income, but sometimes you don't even have the money for the initial investment. Oh man, does that mean we have to use our phone today? Because I know that everybody isn't gonna start out with a mirrorless camera, but if you're getting into this field, it's unrealistic to say that you're not gonna have to invest anything or that you can do something with no equipment, because a phone is equipment. And even this thing that is sitting on the tripod, the stand, the holder, it's equipment. It's not free in most cases. Like sometimes people give you stuff, which is really cool, but in most cases you're gonna have to spend just a little bit of money to get started in something like this. So keep that in mind in case somebody's out here telling you that it's just gonna be free, because that's just not true. One of the first points is starting out, you're probably not gonna have lights. You're probably not gonna have video lights like you see right here. So what are you gonna do instead? You have to film at optimal times, meaning that you're gonna film when available light is available. And on that note, use it wisely. As you saw when we first started this video, there was banding across my face because the camera was casting a shadow on my face due to the harsh light that was hitting the camera from this side. So what did we do? We used diffusion. Diffusion is your best friend. We pulled the blinds down. It's just diffused light. It's nothing crazy. It's the sun. It's what's available. So you're probably not gonna be filming much at nighttime unless you want to use a flashlight or something crazy. You can get creative, but my biggest recommendation would be film when the available light is available. Oh my god, it's so stupid. So I was almost done with this video, and then I heard a lot of you in the comments before the video was even posted saying, what if nighttime is the only time I can film? What do? I can't use available light because it's just moonlight. Fine. Now, every time I come into my office, I turn on that lamp, but clearly it's not enough light on its own to light me. So what do? You go into your camera settings and you start to adjust your ISO. Now I know we talked about using your phone for some of this stuff, and one of the issues I ran into is that I ran out of space. That's why I'm not an advocate for filming on your phone, but I know that some people only have that as an option. So yeah, there we are. All this with just a lamp. See what y'all wanna, yeah, okay. Important part that you can't skip is your white balance. Now, one thing about the older Sony cameras is that you can't change it actively, so I can't show you right now. What I can do is switch over to the FX30, and then I can show you a live transition of the white balance. Now, in most cases, this is what your image is gonna look like out of the gates, because most cameras are gonna be default set to daylight, which is pretty warm when you're using consumer lights like this. I don't really know what they're called, but if you go into auto settings, then your camera's probably gonna give you something that looks like this. This is what the FX30 is doing right now. Then you have shade, which is even warmer. These are all the presets. You have cloudy, which is also pretty warm. You have incandescent, which is super blue. And then you have just some other random auto settings. None of these are probably what you want. What you want is to go to Kelvin and then adjust it yourself. As you can see, the higher you go on the range, which is, we're at like 9,000. Our white balance is over 9,000 right now.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
But then when you go back to the bottom of the range, at 2,500, it gets pretty blue. So we're still gonna increase to, on this one, maybe about 32. And then that's gonna give you something like this. It's still not like super ideal, but it's way better than that first image that we showed you. And again, we're just using the lights that are here. I know everybody doesn't have one of these. It is offering a little bit of a halo on my face. But then we just have this light back here, which is literally just a closet. But yeah, white balance matters. Where you place your camera matters. Right now, which I guess I could show you when I go back to the other camera. Our light is, let me just lean this back. Our light is right here. That's what's offering this nice, soft-ish light. Gosh, this tripod gets on my nerves. I literally just realized that I did this whole thing with my hair just like the way it was when I woke up. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's also kind of early. That's why I'm not talking super loud, because I have a kid that is supposed to be asleep in the room next to me. And it's like 6 a.m. Almost 7 now, but still, he was up at like 6 a.m., which is kind of crazy. I don't know if you have kids or if they get up early on you, but it's not fun. Regardless. Everything you've seen in this video was filmed with the setup that you're seeing. Unless otherwise stated, there were times where I had to use like a real lens. But yeah, I did my best to use like the cheapest gear that I own to make this video possible. That way, if you have cheap gear, you won't have any excuses for not using it to make stuff like this. It's also an issue when you get framing like this. Like I've already filmed most of the video, or basically all of it. This is just like stuff that I thought about as I was editing. Like maybe I should tell them this. We use two different variable aperture lenses. One is adapted from Canon EF mount. It's a 28 to 135 f3.5 to 5.6 if I'm not mistaken. It's like my least favorite lens. I actually hate this lens. It's so bad. But we used it in a few of the shots just to show you that even if you're using a garbage thing like this, you can get something usable if you don't own video lights. Most of it was filmed on the A7C. This is the FX30 that you're seeing right now because, you know, had to use something to film this. And then we have the Sony 28 to 70, also variable aperture 3.5 to 5.6 that we use for the majority of the shots. If I remember, I'll put on the screen when I'm not using those lenses. There's a few times we used the 20 mil and I think we used the 24 to 70 once. But yeah, okay, you can get back to like watching the rest of this, I guess. I'm just gonna keep sitting here. So this video started out as just simply telling people how to film themselves at home and even showing a simple lighting setup. And now it's turned into something that has to have pros and cons. So I guess we'll start with the pros and cons of using available light. Pros, it's available. Cons is this can happen. If you don't want this look, then this isn't good. I think this is a cool look sometimes, but it's not necessarily what I want all the time. So yeah, that's one con about available light is you can modify it, but you can't control it. It's gonna shift throughout the day, which means that you probably have to shift throughout the day and choose different places to film from. Now we have our blinds down. We could raise them up and maybe get a different look. And as you can see, even when we raise our blinds up, we're still getting some weird banding from the window pane. And it's kind of harsh. But most people don't want this for their video. They want something that's like evenly lit, kind of corporate looking. There's ways around this. We won't get into it in this video, but the key is always diffusion. If you have a diffuser, there are some things you can do to make this lighting softer. You can also just choose a different window. The window is now to my right. As you can see, if you pull that back, it gets harsh. So we just use the curtains. This one does have blinds too, but we kept them up I'm using the curtains to kind of flag off some of the light. Now, this isn't like super bright and airy. We can take our ND off so you can see what that looks like. If you want it more light, then we'll have to adjust our ISO. If you're filming with your phone, it's going to do all this on its own, but you still just want to set yourself up for success. So again, if the lighting presents a challenge, just move to a different space. It's only going to be advantageous to you and the video that you're trying to make. So don't be lazy. You can also just choose not to sit directly in front of the window, and that also solves the banding problem. Our window is all the way up now, but we're further back. It's not the same look. You can see just a little bit of the blinds thing right there. Again, I love those looks. You may not, so if that's the issue, move to somewhere where that's not the case if you're filming inside of your own home. I also ran into an issue with my phone earlier when I was doing a comparison, which is what brought about this portion of the video. So we're gonna quickly go over a few pros and cons of using both your phone and a mirrorless camera. So we're gonna start with the iPhone. The pros are it's cheap. In most cases, you already own it, so there's no real investment there. It requires little to no knowledge of filmmaking because it's usually using auto settings, so you can just hit record and the phone's AI or whatever inside of it is gonna do all that stuff for you. It's not gonna make the best decisions though. Like, that's a con. Anyway, it's convenient and it's easy to set up. Like I said, you basically pull it out of your pocket. You probably already have like some kind of phone tripod that you're using, and if not, they aren't that expensive. So you have a lightweight setup that's kind of just always with you. Now the cons to that, which is something I ran into just now, is storage. My phone ran out of space as I was filming the earlier portion of this video, and I didn't get all of it on my phone. And since I was using the rear facing camera, I couldn't tell when it stopped recording, so I had no clue. Another con is the battery life. You may film yourself all day long, and then you need to make a call. Maybe you're lost in New York, you don't understand how the train, the subway station works. That was me, I have no idea how it works. And now your phone's dead because you've been filming on all day. So that's just something to keep in mind. I guess the other thing is it's not easy to hold the phone on its own. Like, where's my phone? If you're gonna film yourself like this, it's not, see how my hands are? You have to like it's fine, but you can drop this pretty easily. And most phones are pretty fragile. So if you drop it, it's a whole nother thing that you gotta buy a second time. This lighting is so harsh, I gotta switch it up. Like, it could end up looking cool in post, but it's burning my face right now. Yeah, so like I was saying, so unless you invest in some kind of holder, a tripod, a phone gimbal, then it's probably not gonna be that easy to just be walking around filming with your phone with that little narrow grip on it, because I've dropped mine, and luckily there was a screen protector and it didn't damage the phone, but you can drop it on carpet and it'll break sometimes. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so the pros and the cons of using a mirrorless camera for filming yourself is it's expensive, obviously. And the craziest thing is, like, there's some iPhones that cost more than a mirrorless camera at this point, which is kind of wild to me. Like, I get that they can do a lot of stuff, but that's just kind of crazy. Regardless, it's expensive. Like, it's a specific tool. Like a phone, you make calls, you can send emails, and then you have all the other crap, the camera, the apps. Mirrorless camera is pretty straightforward. You buy it to film and take photographs of either yourself or other people. Another pro is, oh wait, I started with the cons, so I guess we're doing the cons. Another con is there just always seems to be some accessory that you didn't know you needed until you do, such as a shotgun microphone, an ND filter, a cage, a tripod. I didn't buy a gimbal until last year, but for some people, a gimbal, a lens. Most cameras don't come with a lens unless you buy it in a kit. A lot of stuff to think about. And then the last thing is that it can be cumbersome and kind of inconvenient sometimes when you're using your mirrorless setup to film. Even the 8.7C, as compact as it is, gets kind of bulky. Like right now I have a tilted cage on it, which was a crazy good investment personally. And then it has the Sony shotgun mic on it. It has a 28-70, which isn't a heavy lens, but like when you're walking around holding it like a little tiny tripod, it does start to get heavy, and it's not super convenient. You can't throw it in your pocket easily without worrying about the microphone snapping off or something like that. So again, something to think about. Now, The pros of owning and using a mirrorless camera to film yourself is super high quality, which you hear, or you will hear the term dynamic range. It just means that the camera is capable of capturing a lot more information in the highlights and the shadows is the rough definition from the way I understand it. I know that some camera nerds may attack me in the comments and say that's not the right definition. I don't care. You get what I'm saying. That's basically what it is. You can use it for paid gigs. I bought this with that in mind, that I was gonna use it to make money, both photography and video, and I have since done so for quite a while now. So that's pretty cool. And then the other thing is that you have more control over your settings, as we said before. As I'm zooming in and out, if I wanted that background to not be so blown out, I can just actively change my ISO, which you can't necessarily do on the phone without installing some kind of third-party app. Other takeaway is I know that iPhones can be used to make you money as well, but I don't think that people are going to want to hire you if you don't know the basics of filmmaking and you show up with an iPhone in auto and doing something that they could have done on their own. It just doesn't make sense for them to pay you for that. You get what I'm saying? Ultimately, you just have to invest in the future that you want for yourself. If you are just a content creator, you don't ever plan on having clients, you just want to film yourself, you can get away with just doing it on your iPhone. So many people are doing it on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, all of the vertical places, YouTube Shorts, and it's working. So if you already have a super expensive phone with the great cameras, there's really no need to buy a mirrorless camera unless you plan on becoming a filmmaker and making this a career where you use your skills to serve other companies, other people. And then obviously you can use that same equipment to continue to build your personal brand. So yeah, invest in the future you want. If that looks like keeping your iPhone and not buying all this expensive crap like I have, then more power to you. That's excellent. And if it looks like buying an FX3 or even an A7C or something in that realm to do client projects, short films, documentaries, even movies at some point, if that's your aspiration, go for it. Now I'm about to go because the other thing about natural light is the sun, and it gets kind of warm. Like my chest is heating up right now. So with that, I'm gonna be out. Thank you for watching. Do all the YouTube-y stuff, hit that whatever the buttons are that are gonna make you come back to watch more videos. You know what to do. I ain't gotta hold your hand. I can if you want me to, but okay, all right. Hit the subscribe. I know y'all want to, and I'm not gonna beg you to, because like, it's there, you see it. You want to see more content like this, so it's up to you. I don't care. This man, come back. Yeah, I knew that wasn't gonna work out. Am I like silhouetted? Like it looks cool, but like, you know.
Yeah, you look pretty dark.